Hello. I'm in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario today. I think. And this is Lake Ontario. Ooh, a little hazy, can't really see Toronto. House with a bridge as a driveway. Awesome. Niagara-on-the-Lake. It was first named Battlesburg. Niagara-on-the-Lake. It was first named Butlersburg after John Butler. His militia was wintering here, but they fought on the British side on the American War of Independence or American Revolution. Nice houses. This here is North America's oldest existing golf course. And there, I'll try to get there though. There's Fort Mississauga. And you have to go through the golf course to enter it, but you're 100% allowed to. Ooh, the famous downtown. Crowded. Even though it's Monday. This is Oban Hotel, named after Oban, Scotland. It burned in 1993. Not to the ground, but what we see now is rebuilt. The famous Niagara-on-the-Lake gazebo. You can rent a kayak here, and Fort Niagara on the other side. St. Vincent de Paul, Ontario's second oldest Catholic church. That's where Show Festival Theatre. This is Polish Cemetery. This Polish cemetery is from 1918, and Polish soldiers, Polish Americans were coming to Canada to train, and Camp Kosciuszko, and these guys were victims of Spanish flu. Apparently first Spanish flu cases in Canada. Huh. This must be Polish. How do you read this? Cmentarz ten czci pamięć polskich żołnierzy, którzy po szkoleniu w Niagara-on-the-Lake złożyli największą ofiarę życia. Across the street is St. Mark's, second oldest Anglican church in Ontario. St. Mark's. Can I go in? Probably not. Okay. They're gonna yell at me. Sorry guys. Hello. King Street Gallery. Monday. Okay, I'm gonna stop beyond the pedestrian crossing. There we go, people. Prince of Wales Hotel. Carriage, KTM, Butler's Barracks. Oh, I have to turn around. Butler's Barracks. That's where Camp Kosciuszko was. The Polish soldiers, Polish Americans who were trained here to go to World War I. The whole idea came before the United States entered the war, which was in 1917, because you couldn't train foreign troops on American soil. And those are the guys who had a little cemetery there. And that was all full of barracks. During the War of 1812, it was one of the military installations that included Fort George, Fort Mississauga, and Butler Barracks, and and Navy Hall. One of the famous hotels in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Pillar and Post, used to be a canning factory. The building was. This whole region is known for fruits. A lot of canning factories, but now a lot of wineries. Wine is one of the main industries in the area, besides tourism, of course. This is the museum. Inside, some artifacts, a lot of photos of old Niagara-on-the-Lake. When Niagara-on-the-Lake was still named Newark, it was the capital of Upper Canada, what later became Ontario, of course. The town was destroyed during the War of 1812. Americans attacked, took over Fort George, and destroyed the city. I'll go and see the back of the courthouse. The courthouse was built far enough for the cannons of Fort Niagara not to reach. So the whole idea behind this being here and this being the courthouse was to build it outside of the range of the American cannons. Heroes on the lake. That's cute. Can I turn left? No way, man! Prince of Wales Hotel. Very nice. This is Fort George. Fort George was built here because Fort Niagara was taken by the Americans. So Fort George was built as the counterfort to that. And it was taken over by the Americans in 1813. Then retreating Americans burned it. And Canadians the British, they didn't feel like rebuilding it because when they took this back, they also took the, oh look at the British flag, they also took the fort on the other side, Fort Niagara. So this one became redundant during that war anyway. And this ground too hosted Polish soldiers as part of Camp Kosciuszko in 1917, 1918. This was rebuilt, of course, after the war. I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. Nobody's yelling. George. Somebody who's gonna yell at me if I don't leave soon enough. Oh, this I need to explore. Queen's Landing, built 30 years ago. Built enough. Nice. There's a nice view of Niagara River. And what's on the other side? The river, Yacht Club, New York State. Niagara River. And Fort Niagara on the other side. Obviously it was an American fort, and that fort is no longer in the American military. It is a U.S. Coast Guard station. And why is this closed off? Navy Hall was also an officers' mess for officers in Fort George. Before that, when Fort Niagara was British, it was an officers' mess for Fort Niagara. They're just coming across. That's it, just in front of us. And it was a bigger complex, of course. Like everything was destroyed by retreating Americans in 1813, and this is the only thing that's remaining. Believe it or not, that was a first Parliament of Upper Canada. They moved it because Americans were getting too close. Fort Niagara was, with another number of forts, was in British hands till 1796. There was a number of forts within the states. They're in the British hands, and Jay Treaty changed that. So once the British left Fort Niagara there, they had to moved the parliament because it was within the range of the cannons. Basically just like what they did with the courthouse. They moved it outside of the range of the American cannons. And I've never been inside. And this is Youngstown on American side. When World War I erupted, Poland was divided between Germany, Russia, and Austro-Hungarian Empire for 119 years in 1914. And obviously, Polish nationals were drafted into 3 armies, and the ones captured in the West were put into Blue Army by Joseph Heller. And Blue Army because they're wearing French uniforms, but it was a Polish unit, and they're bringing Polish men from POW camps as well as from abroad. And the United States was one of those places. And the most famous soldier, not him really, but everybody knows Angela Merkel. Her father, her grandfather, Kazimierski. God. He was in the German army, was captured in France, joined the Blue Army, and fought with them, which means that the guys who were trained in Camp Kosciuszko in Niagara-on-the-Lake, he fought in the Polish-Bolshevik War. Then he went back to Berlin, even though he was from Poznań, married a local German woman, changed his last name when Hitler came to power, and lived there. But he's one of those things that Angela Merkel was always reminding us of. Her grandfather was part of the Blue Army. I'm gonna walk to Fort Mississauga just to see. Fort Mississauga, and then a golf course, which I mentioned is the oldest existing golf course in North America. Probably Western Hemisphere, I would imagine. Well, when Americans destroyed Niagara-on-the-Lake, or Newark, it was called at the time, the British, when they took it back, they didn't rebuild Fort George. They built this instead, Fort Mississauga, and they used bricks from the city. There's a lot of destroyed houses apparently. Yeah, Fort Mississauga and Point Mississauga here was the first lighthouse in the Great Lakes. This is where Niagara River flows into Lake Ontario, and Fort Niagara just there. So Fort Mississauga, Butler's Barracks, and Navy Hall were one system of defenses, but not till the British took over the area, including Fort Niagara. Very nice area. This is my bike is still there.